What's going on, guys? Me again. Today in this video I want to talk to you about this image. It's an image I took beginning of April, and it is a real image. It's a panorama, and I'll kind of run through a little bit about how I took it in a little bit here, but just know this video is about planning for your night photography and just some of the tools that I use to really help me, set myself up for success when I go out and shoot these kind of scenes. Now, I'll start by saying I've taken night photos for 3 years now, and I'm getting a little bit tired of the the classic kind of, foreground element, background element, and then galactic core, super wide. I don't feel it's, I will take those images still. I love the night sky. I love taking those photos, but telephoto shots like this one or this one, these are the ones that, I think are a lot more challenging to produce. And I want to talk about some planning tools that really help me to make sure everything works in these types of photos. So all that said, these tools will work very well for wide field astrophotography and telephoto astrophotography, anything that's going to include the landscape in your astro kind of photo. And so without further ado, we'll hit the computer and we'll check out some of the tools that I used to at least get this image together. So let's hit it. Okay, now we're in the computer. We're gonna kind of figure out what we're gonna shoot. So first we have to decide where we're gonna go. Early season Milky Way, just from experience, I know it kind of rises in the southeast part of the sky early in the season, and then as late season kind of hits, it starts, coming up southwest. So it kind of pans east to west in the southern part of the sky. So early in the season, we're talking about April, I know, kind of looking somewhere kind of southeast. Where I live, Regina, Saskatchewan, kind of in this area. Light pollution is pretty prevalent in this area, so you have to travel, quite a ways out of town. And if I head west, if the Milky Way is rising southeast, then I'm going to be shooting across light pollution to see the core. So ideally, I want to look for something a little bit, south or east of town. So typically what I do when I'm driving around, I will text myself Google pins of interesting locations, stuff that I drive by. I'll include a description, something that says, group of trees, faces south, southeast, good for, either, I say, sunrise or early Milky Way, early season Orion, that type of thing. So with different things that I can put behind it. So then, as I scroll through, the huge list of places that, I'd like to go visit one day, I come across one that, works for maybe the scene that I have in my head. So first thing we have to do is jump into kind of Google Chrome or your internet and find out kind of what light pollution looks like around the location that you're kind of looking at going to. So I'm going to go to my kind of location here. This is where I am right at the moment, and the place that I want to shoot is out here, kind of in this area. So light pollution map looks pretty promising kind of anywhere in this area. It's kind of where I'm looking for. I have a couple of locations in here that may work. So I'm looking for, whether or not I can shoot, and knowing that the core kind of rises somewhere over here. So, it's looking like there's not light pollution for quite a ways. So from here to here, move 40 minutes, 50-minute drive. So that's okay for me, especially if I have to wake up at 1 in the morning. That's all right. I can do that. So first step, make sure light pollution is not going to be an issue. Second step, find out kind of moon phase. Is the moon going to be a factor in Milky Way? Should I go, today, or should I wait for, later on when there's less moon in the sky? So there's a few apps you can use, and I'll include all the links you see in this video and the list of apps that I use for my Android in the link description, in the video description, sorry. Those are probably available for Apple as well, or iPhone. I don't know, but double check those if you have an iPhone. Timeanddate.com is what I use on my desktop to figure out kind of moon phase. So I can tell you right now, there's a 78% luminous waxing or waning gibbous moon out. So today would not be a good time to go shoot the Milky Way, as it looks like today it's going to rise at midnight and it's going to set at 8 a.m. So unless the core is rising early in the night, you know that moon's going to be a factor. So not the best time. I chose to go in this period because you see the moon rises at 7:30 in the morning around the new moon, and it sets at 9 o'clock at night. So that leaves the whole night moonless. So it looks like, you know, I have basically from the beginning of the month in this area until more or less the end of the month, or the end of kind of this week. So around the 10th or so. So you have about 10 days, give or take, where, you know, I could maybe plan to shoot something in the night sky. So we checked light pollution map. Looks good where we're kind of going to be going, and the moon looks like, you know, I could arrange something in these dates. So now we're going to research our locations. The one location I really wanted to try and do, especially with a kind of telephoto shot with a row feeding complex behind it, was right out in this area. I knew that there was a small group of trees that, you know, would have lent themselves well to a nice telephoto look. So I'm going to go find those. So on Google Earth, I'm just simply zooming in. I could search for the coordinates, which again are on my phone, which I've, you know, pinned, so I know exactly coordinates. But just to show you kind of what Google Earth looks like, you know, you have road systems on here. So I can say that on my map, the location is right about here. So I'm gonna go zoom in. I'm gonna find it kind of manually to show you that, you know, well, there they are, those trees. So you know that they kind of exist. So you can even find these landmarks on your own, you know, without driving around. You can just sit in your cozy armchair with a cup of coffee and just look for spots to shoot. And I found quite a few that way without having to go out. So a few lone trees, stuff like that. You can basically drive around, and I could even grab my little dude here and drop them on and go to Street View. And I can see, you know, these trees. There they are. See exactly what they look like. So now, we're gonna turn myself back down and go back north so I know where I am. So seem to have lost my spot here. Where are we? Okay, so trees are right here. So I know where I'm gonna go. It's good for light pollution. I know when I'm gonna go. Now I need to figure out kind of what this shot's gonna look like. So kind of pre-visualizing, you know, what I'm gonna be shooting. So what I'm gonna do is go into Stellarium, and I'm gonna go find, you know, the location of kind of where I'm gonna be. So I can grab the coordinates from here, and I can input them, you know, in here if I want to be precise. Generally speaking, these are very close to here just because it's fairly close to home. It's only an hour away, so I'm not going to bother changing anything. It's not going to change a whole lot in terms of positioning of the core. But what will matter is the date. So I did shoot this on April 6th, so we're going to go to April 6th, and let's find out when the core rises. So going through the night, we have, so Antares is the star, the big bright orange one you've seen in the shot. That's Antares. And so this is the kind of area that I really want to include in my photo. And it looks like there's the galactic core kind of arching up this way at about 3 in the morning. Now if I want to see it brighter, I can always, you know, crank this up to, you know, a bit brighter. Then I can see it very clearly. Easier to see that way, so where different stuff is. So I know where the core is. It kind of goes southeast, kind of in between southeast and south. So south-southeast is kind of where Antares is. Now I kind of need to know what focal length I want to be using. for this shot. So I'm gonna jump back into Google Earth, and I'm gonna say, well, maybe I want a nice tight look at these trees, and I want to see what works best for focal length. So I'm gonna grab my ruler in Google Earth and set this to, you can set this to whatever is more comfortable for you. I keep it in kilometers, and I'm going to basically measure here to here to the road, and I get 0.37 kilometers. So I'm going to back out, and I'm going to go over to my house, and which is somewhere over here. Okay, and I'm going to find my house right here, and I'm going to basically draw a point, 0.37 kilometers, and find an object. So it looks like maybe these kind of grain bins over here. I can pull up my telephoto lens and zoom in on those grain bins that are outside the window right here without leaving my home. Just see what they look like at different focal lengths. So the focal length that I liked in this case was around 120 millimeters. So that's the one that I decided to kind of go with. So kind of gives you a rough idea of what this stuff kind of looks like as you kind of look at it in your camera, as opposed to kind of just trying to guess. So we're gonna go back out to our location, which is somewhere over here. Okay, there's our trees again. Okay, now we know kind of we're looking south-southeast, so hopefully we can be somewhere over here, shoot this way, and still kind of get a nice composition of these trees without being at too much of an angle. So ideally we don't want be shooting from this road. We'd like to shoot basically from here kind of to here would be a good spot to be shooting these trees. So now we kind of need to see how what does the row of feature complex look like at 120 millimeters. Like, this is not what it looks like at 120 millimeters. So one thing you can do is to find a good field of view calculator, and this guy has a really good one I go to quite often, and again, link it in the description. And so I'm going to find what 120 millimeters looks like, and so looks like I can use zoom in here. So I go right now, I'm at 60 degrees, so my field of view should be closer to between somewhere kind of in here will give me a kind of a close look at what this looks like. So now we're looking more like what you see in the photo already. We have the dust lines coming off the Dark Horse Nebula right here, and we have dust line, we have Antares, and then bright blue, we have the purple nebula in here. So it's starting to really look like what we kind of envisioned this shot to be. So problem is, at 3 in the morning, this is too high in the sky to be considered not a composite. So if I were to take this photo at 3 o'clock in the morning, Antares is too high for me to actually say that this was a shot that could be legitimate. So I'm going to back this down until I see Antares is just above where those trees would be. So I'm going to make sure that I have a little bit of my foreground included in stellarium, and just a little bit, because the idea is I can pan, I can take my sky and I can pan down and do a panorama of what it would look like. So this is looking actually a lot better. Kind of around 2 o'clock in the morning, it looks like when I could start shooting Antares, and this is really looking basically like it should work out. I have the foreground here, and the trees might spike up to come up to about here, so it should work out at about 120 millimeters. So that's kind of the shot that I'm envisioning. So if I back out here, I can see the precise position of Antares. So it looks like it's closer to southeast than it is to south. So I'm going to jump into Google Earth, and I'm going to flip my guy around so that it's facing, so here we are, we're facing straight south, and we want to face southeast. So kind of this general area. So if I'm standing, it looks like here might be okay. If I'm standing here shooting this way, I still get a good look at those trees. Now there are a few factors that may kind of encroach on this. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's a bluff of trees, maybe it's a valley where there's a slough, I don't know. I haven't been there to check recently, and if I drop this thing down here, it doesn't show me that far. There's stuff in the way. There's a little bit of hills and stuff like that, so I can't say for sure what that is. So shooting across here, this might be in the way, maybe it's not. I don't know that right now. I did find out on site that it was fine. This is basically where I ended up standing, was right here, shot through across here, and that was basically, you know, what you see. So this looks like it should work as far as I can see. Next thing I want to do is double check Google Maps, turn terrain view on. You can do this on your phone as well. Put the terrain kind of overlay on top, and that'll just show you kind of where hills are. So we're going to go to our location, and that would be right here. So our trees are here, in between here and here, and it looks like there's a hill that comes through here. And so if I were to stand on the road, I probably wouldn't get a good view of the trees because there's a little bit of a hill here. So I'm going to want to stand somewhere kind of on top of this little ridge and shoot across here so I get a full view of those trees. So again, that is what I did, but it's going to change a little bit of how this looks. So I can go back to my ruler and I can basically draw a line from the trees to where, you know, I feel like I will be standing. We're at 0.3 kilometers. I'll go back to, you know, my home on Google Earth and then put the long lens on and just see what that looks like at 0.3 instead of 0.37. So it just helps you pre-visualize what's out there. So now we've pre-visualized, we see what's going on, we know it'll work out, we know that, you know, we have to be about 120 millimeters, and that Antares will just, at 2 o'clock in the morning, will be right above those trees. Everything works out, and we're basically ready to kind of plan, you know, our shoot. So now we wait for weather. We wait and see when we're going to have clear skies, good weather in order to be able to do this. So we know that we're good for light pollution. We know that we're good for kind of moon. One thing we need to check before we really check clouds, though, is when the sun's going to be a factor. Sunrise, even this morning, you know, it started getting light in the sky at 3:30 in the morning. So 2 o'clock, it gives us a solid hour and a half to get our sky images in without having to worry about ambient light coming from, you know, the horizon. So and on April 6th, I believe it was around 4:15, 4:30 in the morning was when astronomical twilight was. So it, you know, works out just fine. We have about a 2 hour window to where we can shoot any sort of, you know, sky and get, you know, good detail without, you know, introducing a lot of blue and washing out any detail that's in there. So we have 2 hours to shoot the sky. You know, we should be good to go. So that won't be an issue. And then I have two tools I use to check clouds. I check windy. Again, there's apps for these, windy and clear outside. First thing I'll do though is to check just a general weather kind of app, whether it's Weather Network or Environment Canada, whatever's local to you, just to see when they say clear skies will be, and that'll help you kind of fine tune, you know, what days maybe you want to kind of look at. So Windy has different tabs, so you can check out the cloud tab, and you can go to the day that, you know, you think you want to go. So maybe it's Thursday the 25th, and I want to check what's happening maybe Friday morning at, you know, 4 a.m. So this is what it looks like Friday at 4 a.m. There's a bit of cloud coverage, especially where, you know, I want to be shooting. So again, this is our location somewhere in here. So it will be clouded out at Friday at 4 o'clock. Now, the best part about windy is it tells me which way or which direction the clouds are going to be going. So if I push play, it shows me the direction of the cloud movement. So everything is going this way across the scene. So if there's an opening in the clouds, let's say, you know, 1 in the morning, and I see the clouds are moving all this way, well, I know I need to get my shots done quickly if I see clouds starting to come, because I know that they're going to come and obscure my view. Whereas if there's a big bank of clouds here and they're all going this way, then you know, I can just be patient and I can wait for those clouds to just disappear. So it really helps me understand kind of the directionality of the clouds and how things are moving in the sky. So the one beef I have with it is it's not 100% correct on the high altitude cloud. High altitude cloud is fairly tricky to predict. I've seen lots of weather apps say clear skies, when in actuality there's this layer of really high altitude cloud that's just kind of thin and wispy. It's in the air and it's blocking transparency for, you know, viewing nebula and that kind of thing. So it affects your night photography, but it won't really affect kind of daytime photography. So it's important that we find something that really kind of predicts that for us. And I find clear outside does a really good job of that. It gives you a percentage of high altitude cloud, medium cloud, and low cloud. And so their high altitude cloud percentage, it gives you, you know, an idea every hour. And so here's when it's dark, and it gives you a percentage of cloud cover, you know, during a period of time. So it looks like, you know, this morning at, you know, 2 in the morning, or tomorrow morning, sorry, at 2 in the morning, you know, we're gonna have 37% medium cloud coverage at, you know, in Fort Qu'Appelle, and 2% high cloud. So, I mean, it seems okay, but seeing how we're having, you know, we have pretty heavy cloud coming in, I probably just sleep this night. You know, the night that this shot was taken, the shot you've seen already, it's, you know, there was 0% cloud coverage, low, medium, and there was about 40% kind of high altitude cloud coming in, kind of roughly when I was starting to shoot. So there wasn't perfect clear skies, but it was, you know, it was okay for what I wanted to do. So I went out and shot what I, you know, what you've seen already. So the photo that I'm going to show you right now, this one, was taken with almost 100% high altitude cloud, and you can see the big difference it makes. You don't get very much detail, but you do kind of get a star glow effect. So basically it's just a lot of vapor. There's a lot of, you know, even just kind of wispy clouds that are kind of floating in and out of the frame. So it, you know, really kind of enhances the star glow kind of feel, but you lose a lot of detail because, you know, the nebula and stuff is, you know, it is covered up by those, the cloud and the different vapor and stuff. And so so last thing we checked is our weather. We know that, you know, we're okay to go. We know what the photo looks like. We know we'll have clear skies. We know kind of roughly where we have to stand. We know what focal length we're going to use. And so that's it. You know, wake up at 1 in the morning, drive out there, polar align. I started my skies, and I, you know, I tracked my skies starting at this point and till about 3:30 in the morning. So I have about an hour and a half of sky data. I stacked all those together to remove any noise at all. Then I waited till about 4:30 in the morning and ended up, you know, using some of the ambient glow from the sunrise to light, you know, my foreground, so I didn't get any kind of messy noise in my shadows. And so that really helped clean up those files. So I used 12 foreground exposures as well and stacked them so I had completely free and clear data to use, and then basically put those two photos together, put that sky, and then, like I said, I panned the camera down to take my foreground exposure. So it's two horizontal images put together to make one vertical kind of composition. So, well guys, that's it for my planning tools for night photography. Again, these work for wide field and for kind of telephoto stuff. Anywhere that you're including the landscape in your night photography images. It really kind of shows you where things are going to be, how things are going to line up, and just kind of what weather factors you might have to kind of counter, where the moon is in the sky, and kind of when the sun's going to start intruding in your shots. So hopefully you found these tools helpful. Maybe there's some new ones for you. Maybe not. But anyways, if you have any other ones that you feel are really useful for you, I'd love to know about them. I'm always kind of trying to tweak my workflow, make it a little bit more easier, a little bit quicker. So if anything that you know about that, you know, would be new to me, leave a comment. Let everyone know what those are. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to see kind of more tutorials like this about the night sky. I do have plans to take you along on a night shoot sometime. My issue right now is, you know, gear. I have nothing that works in low light for video. So if I ever get my hands on some of that, I'll start taking you outside and showing you how I do this in the field. So, but until then, cheers. Thanks for watching.